are back with more Marvel vs. Capcom. This time we're tackling Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, except we're pretty much only tackling one of those if we're honest. Yeah, both Marvel 2 and Infinite don't have endings, but they do have a story, with Infinite having a particularly infamous one. For those who don't know, Marvel 1, 2, and 3 are all fantastic games on their own. Infinite is not. If you haven't watched the first video, it's the only other public video on my channel, so it won't be hard to find, but I'll also put it in the description. This probably isn't a smart thing to include in the intro, but fuck it. It also came to my attention that I forgot Anita's ending in Marvel Superheroes, but let's be honest, after I explain it, you probably will too. He just takes the stones, frees everyone, and the credits roll. But hey, enough of that. Let's stroll along to the minute-long Marvel vs. Capcom 2 credit sequence. The story of Marvel 2 sees Ruby Hart, original character 1 out of 3, trying to stop the evil Abyss. Abyss is one of those multiple generations old sleeping beast type deals. Ruby Hart's got the inside scoop and knows he's gonna awaken soon, and he needs to be persuaded back into slumber. So she scours the world for Capcom and Marvel heroes and comes back with the most batshit collection. Not only did she bring a cactus, a Lego, and 2 Wolverines, she somehow managed to persuade all the villains, including M. Bison, Dr. Doom, and Akuma, to be chill with everyone. Any chance Ruby Hart could use her persuasion skills to, I don't know, kill him? Regardless, they fight Abyss, win, and now Ruby Hart has a ship full of 55 other people, so they just kind of take pictures and vibe. One notable thing about this is that even though this is only a minute long, there are 2 separate versions of it, because the arcade version has unlockable characters, but the console version does not. Moving along to the actual ending itself, Ruby Hart holds an orb, which is actually Abyss's core, and she tosses it into the ocean like a girl boss. Ryu and Cyclops shake hands, again, starting to think they're little more than friends. We get this picture of Rogue, Amingo, Guile, and Sansan, except it's actually way better on the console version because Rogue is replaced with Shuma Gorath, and let's face it, Shuma Gorath is sillier. Guile here, though, looks like he's 12 for some reason. The next shot shows Zangief, Iceman, and Tronbomb with their Surfbots. Console version replaces it with BB Hood, but ditches the Surfbots, so yeah, arcade version better. Fun fact, Mega Man and Iron Man don't show up once in these endings, but they sure as hell made sure to get Juggernaut in there. I feel targeted. Is this a hate crime? He has a really goofy looking smile. Then we have the greatest picture of all time, except actually Morgan is unlockable, so the arcade version has Sakura, which, like, Spidey, she's 16. You can tell they wanted Morgan in this shot, though, since Spidey has no reason to extend his arm that far, if not to compensate for Morgan's head wings. The next couple shots are just kind of whatever. They just show 2 to 4 characters just vibing, and I'm ready for some real endings, so thank you to Marvel 2 for giving us this, but we gotta move on now. Now we finally move on to Marvel vs. Capcom 3, our first non-arcade title. It's also our first non-pixel art title, so each ending has 2 pieces of art per character, and they're all pretty well drawn. Marvel 3 did make me nervous going into it a bit, since both Capcom and Marvel are big kids now, the chances of getting some of that cartoony arcade wackiness is considerably lower. We might just be looking at some much safer endings that are more respectful to their characters. But hey, after Chun-Li's shit show in Marvel 1, I'll take that. Since I mentioned that Fate of Two Worlds contains different versions for each ending, I'll be discussing those versions after I discuss the Ultimate version, since I watched them after and was able to compare. So, with all that out of the way, let's tackle Galactus. We're starting with him because he's Galactus. Wait 5 minutes and he'll dominate the world by himself. And lo and behold, that's what he does, so we can move on. Here, before we start with the characters, here's a tier list of which characters are better in Ultimate or Fate of Two Worlds. There's no one on here yet, obviously. Wolverine has always been the main target of introspective, dramatic endings. He had this whole back and forth with Akuma, he'll get all bitchy about Jean Grey, he'll travel to Japan. But this time, he just goes to a strip club with Morgan. Like I said, each ending has 2 panels of art, and sometimes that'll backfire. But here, like, yeah, what do you want me to say? That's a strip club, that's Morgan, that's Wolverine, that's enough of that. In Fate of Two Worlds, dialogue differences here are pretty notable. It's actually made explicitly clear that Morgan and Wolverine are about to have sex. She asks him for some action, and he accepts, which, I mean, we all know why this is a problem, right? Morgan is a succubus. It is her job to fuck you and then kill you. I mean, maybe Wolverine's healing factor will save him, but that assumes various things about the way Morgan kills people that I don't know. Oh, and if you're curious about this, Morgan made an exception, actually. But even if it doesn't make too much sense, I still prefer it to the Ultimate version. I presume it was changed because they were implied sexual themes, and I guess it didn't get past the censors the second time. So now, Morgan's just at a strip club, and Wolverine's just having a harmless drink of alcohol. Nothing sexual here. Yeah, the beta version is better. That's what I'm gonna call the Fate of Two Worlds, by the way. Alright, next is Ryu. Let's get the obligatory Ryu lighting his own path to destiny bullshit out of the way. So he finally overcomes the Satsui no Hado, even though there's a possibility that he beat Galactus by embracing it, but whatever. Akuma's angry, surprising no one. He's presumably about to beat up Ryu. There's no panel, so it's hard to tell. Until Ryu uses a mix of Iron Fist technique and his Shoryuken, coined the Iron Shoryuken. He even gets his own little mask. That's pretty cute. Definitely thought this would follow the same treaded path as the last 80 Ryu endings, so I'm pleasantly surprised. In Fate of Two Worlds, Ryu's ending is actually completely fundamentally different this time around. Instead of Ryu inheriting Iron Fist power, he engages in fisticuffs galore with Iron Fist. I presume they changed this in Ultimate because Iron Fist actually becomes a character. And I will say, I do vastly prefer Ultimate's version because it actually injects some creativity into Ryu's ending, something you can't say for any of the other ones, including this one. Even if it does say Ken versus Mr. X up there, I do feel like Ken would win that. I mean, he's got fiery fists, right? You could just fucking explode him to death. Hulk's ending sees him performing manual labor. Chris and Jill make Hulk kill all of the Resident Evil monsters for them. Chris even says, "Why didn't we think of this before?" Great question, especially considering you just met. That's kinda it. Chris is just using him for strength. I'm sure Bruce runs into that a lot. Overall, a fine ending. Could have been more creative and could have used more than 3 dialogue boxes, but it's cool art, gets the job done. Minor dialogue differences here in the beta version, this time making much more explicit references to Nemesis and why he's evil. If you saw my hand moving, you'd be like, what the fuck is she doing? Again, I presume they changed it to make it less about Nemesis since he was added in Ultimate. I probably prefer the beta version because it actually has Hulk and Chris talking on the same playing field instead of before where Chris is like, look at this big ugly freak, good thing I can export all my work to this thing. And after that, he beats up Wesker. There's no art for it, but it's explicitly stated that Hulk beats up Wesker. See, here's a gameplay recreation. Morgan's ending gives us a downgrade from 3 dialogue boxes to 2, one of which being, you know, thanks for that. She ends up drinking with a bunch of Marvel villains, including Blackheart. One summary in the comments suggested that she and Blackheart were on a date, which is like, yeah, that's exactly how I want to have a date, with 7 people staring at us the whole time. You can even see Lilith in the background. That's pretty weird. Overall, not nearly as funny or creative as the puzzle fighter ending in Marvel 1, but, and you'll hear this a lot, at least the artist. Now, is that Doctor Strange? Why the fuck is he here? The beta ending for Morgan is actually way better. Morgan describes a watering hole between the human and demon realm, where demons chill out to have some drinks and fight. Again, fighting and, like, fucking beating each other up is just a thing all Capcom and Marvel characters do for fun. But here, there's Satan-ish from Marvel and Mephisto from Marvel again. The only thing the Ultimate ending does better is that there are more characters like Blackheart, Lilith, Ghost Rider, and Doctor Strange. But the beta ending actually uses its art more, instead of having one panel specifically for you-know. I don't know why they would change it for Ultimate. Maybe because they wanted to make new art, but didn't have room to bring back Satan-ish, so they just replaced it with 5 new monsters. And how does any of this justify the you-know crisis we currently live in? Beta ending better. Iron Man, what's up? Iron Man's ending starts with Iron Man saying he wasn't prepared for fighting Galactus, which is, I mean, sure, you beat him pretty easily, but whatever. So he creates a Galactus Buster suit. Galactuster. Ew. He builds the Galactus Buster to help prevent another attack from Galactus, which just kind of raises the question, did they kill him? Another attack implies that he isn't dead, so did you, like, arrest him? This isn't DC, you can't just stuff him in the Phantom Zone and call it a day. Unless we got Lego rules. Overall, the ending's okay, the Galactus Buster is kind of cool, but I kind of wish there was some Capcom involvement. Iron Man's ending is virtually the exact same in beta, except this time it's a data entry instead of Tony just talking to himself. It uses completely different sentences, but it still kind of conveys the same thing. I have to say this one's ever so slightly better. I like the data entry format. I have no idea why they would change this in the Ultimate release. I guess I hate nice things. Speaking of Capcom involvement, Strider's ending provides us just that in spades with the arrival of Lady Deathstrike. The reason it provides us that in spades is because Strider is a Capcom character. She wants to kill the X-Men, which is normal for her, but Strider teams up with Wolverine to stop her. After all these years, he just continues to appear in everyone's ending. This ending would probably be more effective if I knew anything about Lady Deathstrike, but as is, it's a pretty neat ending. Captain America's ending is boring as beans. He gets recognized officially by Nick Fury for both World War II and Galactus, and then it ends. God, I would have taken a lore dump over this one. This shit is boring. Let's move on. The beta ending is just better. Instead of bringing up all of Captain America's previous adventures all haphazardly, they give a speech about Cap being the light during the world's darkest hours and all that shit. It's nothing crazy, but it is an improvement. Again, completely beyond me why this was fucking changed. Chris's ending starts with him finally catching Wesker, which would be especially funny if Wesker was on your team. He's taken to court with Daredevil as the prosecutor. God, imagine being a defense attorney in that case. Jesus. Pretty cool ending. There's a bizarre amount of law-based characters in this game, so there's plenty of material. Nothing crazy, but I mean, thank God. Beta ending sees the 2 art panels we have flipped in order. This one has a different background, too. We start out with the court case this time, with Daredevil acting as the prosecutor once again. This time it's already better, since last time Daredevil being the prosecutor kind of was like the big set piece that was supposed to make the audience go, oh my god, Marvel thing, I know what that is. Daredevil brings up the events of the first Resident Evil game at Umbrella Mansion, and Wesker goes, ah yes, Umbrella Mansion. I did have a good time killing people there, which is like, What are you doing? You're in court. Wesker tries pulling some silly shit, but Chris Redfield stops him. Now, there is a bailiff there, but he gets clapped in like 4 seconds. But instead of Wesker being pinned before the court case, Wesker gets pinned during the court case. What a world of difference. I think I'm starting to identify a pattern with the beta endings. They're a lot better and that the dialogue is better, but there's a lot more going on that isn't conveyed through the art. The art itself is usually worse, not because it's poorly drawn, but the additions that Ultimate adds make the art much better. But yeah, so far nearly every Fate of Two Worlds ending has been better than Ultimate, which is a shame since Ultimate came after, but let's move on. Deadpool's ending is bizarrely lukewarm. After beating Galactus, he throws a party with a bunch of Marvel and Capcom characters, and he gets so litty he blows up Cleveland. Which is like, sure, that's funny, but it doesn't make too much sense. He apparently wanted to give the DJ and Margarita machine a boost, so he blew it up. I mean, it's fine. It makes sense for Deadpool, I guess. I don't know. I think I was expecting some more, like, meta shit where he, like, goes to Capcom to complain about the fight or some shit. This ending is fine, though, but it didn't leave a particularly good taste in my mouth. Much like most of the beta endings so far, Deadpool's is an improvement. The art this time is different. Instead of having a collection of weird, obscure characters, it instead has characters we recognize from the base game, including Amaterasu, who's cut off at the bottom there. The ending still plays out as normal, but this time the reporter lady says that there's a search for the player character that Deadpool was talking about. See, there we go! The lack of fourth wall breaks in Deadpool's Ultimate ending was becoming apparent, so I'm really glad to see that they fixed it here. Of course, I say fixed it, but this came before, so they actually undid it, so that's great. Still don't know why they felt the need to change and remove one of the best parts about it. Maybe they don't want the base cast to appear in other endings, which is a lie. Maybe since Deadpool was implied to have killed various characters in this incident, Capcom didn't like the idea that Deadpool killed 2 minors and a dog. Of course, after some research, that's Tiffany Lord's from Rival Schools, a game about high schoolers beating each other up, so I guess age wasn't a problem either. But, oh well. Who cares? Sorry, I needed a transition. Next Red Gunslinger we got is Dante, who, after defeating Galactus, gets a visit from Mephisto. Poor dude can't catch a break. Mephisto says he can bring his mother back to life and amend his relationship with Virgil, but Dante ain't having that shit. He holds him at gunpoint and forces him to give Dante a job so he can pay his electric bill. He's tasked to kill Blackheart, which, like, excuse me, he is busy. And other timelines where I'm, like, fully committed to Spider-Man X Morgan after, like, before writing the script, I definitely wouldn't have made that joke. Pretty fitting ending, not much to say here. Dante's beta ending is actually really interesting. It's completely different because they pair him with Ghost Rider, who got added to the game later on. But it starts with Dante making an elaborate video game metaphor about how he beat the final boss, so fighting Ghost Rider won't be a problem at all. Ghost Rider clearly doesn't give a shit, and Dante changes from metaphors to similes by saying, life is an ultimate game. You just don't get unlimited continues. Which is like, damn, I don't play Devil May Cry, so I don't know if this is something he'd say in the game, but like, what an angle. I'd say I like these endings about the same. I find Dante's dialogue in beta to be better, but I don't know. I think I like the idea of Mephisto being there rather than Ghost Rider. If I had to pick, though, I'd probably go with Ultimate. Next is Hawkeye, and yeah, I'm not hoping for much, and not much I got. All he does is form the West Coast Avengers, which is fine. It's neat. Jin's there, so that's something. Yeah, anyways. Felicia's ending sees her do a duet with Dazzler. That's neat. It ends right there, by the way. Yeah, it's 2 fucking dialogue boxes. I mean, yeah, sure, it's cute. I didn't know Felicia was a singer. I'm glad she has hobbies. Felicia's beta ending dives into more detail about the musical that she and Dazzler sing together. Apparently, it's an album based on the events that transpired between Felicia defeating Galactus and saving the world, because they always gotta bring it back to that. I do find it funny that Dazzler's on this track, considering that she was not fucking there. And yeah, like a ton of these, beta blasts Ultimate out of the water. They have song names, Dazzler gets dialogue, it's more than 2 fucking dialogue boxes. This is so much better. Add this to the ever-growing pile of endings that are worse in Ultimate for no reason. Moving on to Doctor Doom, we have yet another honestly mid-ending. This is getting worrying. Turns out the only reason Doom ever fought Galactus was to harness his power to use for himself. So he does that, and we have yet another World Dom ending. Guess old habits die hard. Doom's beta ending is virtually identical. There's slightly different dialogue, 1 added sentence, 1 line being changed from 1 sentence to 2 sentences. Yeah, really needed to dig through the files for that one. The simple fact that this one is the exact same does beat a theory that I had regarding these endings. See, I thought maybe the old endings were unlockable in Ultimate, therefore justifying all the changes by creating more unlockable content. But this ending is the exact same. There'd be no reward in unlocking it because it's the same one you already have. So I'm officially clueless on why any of these endings are different, except for the ones that I'm not clueless about. Again, if I had to pick one, probably this one, I guess. Firebrand, can you help us out here? He takes over the castle of Astaroth, which is from Ghosts and Goblins, and then he wants to kill Arthur, who's also from Ghosts and Goblins, and that is seriously it. Alright, you know what? That's fine. You're a piece of shit anyway. Super Scroll? I know you're kind of generic, and I'm definitely not looking in the right place for a unique ending, but is there any chance you could possibly give... Galactus ate his planet, and then by killing him, he avenges said planet, and everyone in the Galactic Senate clapped because he's very cool. Super Scroll's beta ending is barely any different aside from the tail end. Super Scroll still announces that he killed Galactus, but this time he makes a speech about how the Skrull Empire must protect the universe, and everybody still claps. Again, the beta ending is just objectively better in every regard. Why the fuck would they change it? The art is better in Ultimate. It includes references to characters that weren't there before, but the dialogue is worse for no reason. Okay, my note says that this next ending has good dialogue, so who is it? She captures Kingpin, which makes a hell of a lot more sense than the rest of the cast, because she's a detective. Kingpin says, "You know I'll be out in a day, right?" And she goes, "Guess I got something to do tomorrow." Finally! Misstep after misstep, embarrassing writing after embarrassing writing. We finally get an ending that respects Chun-Li as a character and actually makes her badass. Jesus Christ, only took 50 fucking tries. Chun-Li's beta ending doesn't change it up too much. There's more banter from Kingpin, but I can't say I prefer it. The kick to the face line isn't nearly as cool as the Tomorrow line. So I guess for the first time in ages, I actually prefer the Ultimate ending. How about that? Chun-Li too. That feels poetic somehow. We are keeping this banger ending streak though, because Nova's ending is a blast. After defeating Galactus, he starts a brand new Nova Corps called the Mega Nova Corps, which is the Nova Corps with a bunch of Mega Man characters, and this might be my favorite piece of art from this game. Every character looking fresh as hell. They even included the damn bird. I want to see more of this. This perfectly shows how cool of a concept blending Marvel and Capcom worlds together is. I don't even have a joke for this one. This shit is just awesome. Phoenix Wright continues this freight train of joy, bringing us a naturally more comedic ending. Phoenix Wright is the defense attorney for Galactus. Hey, wait a minute. Phoenix, you better lose this case, dog. That dude nearly destroyed the planet. Along with how naturally funny of a set piece Galactus in this tiny-ass courtroom is, he even says, "I hereby renew my request for a change of venue," which is just icing on the cake, man. Phoenix Wright delivering another banger. Next up is Thor. I mean, if any hero is gonna be boring, it's probably Thor, but hey, they made Nova interesting, so let's see what he's made of. Thor just asked Heimdall to protect the Capcom universe, which, like, yeah, sure, thanks Thor, you're a sweetheart. But how does Heimdall have control over that? He just protects various habited planets in the universe. I don't think he can transcend to the fucking multiverse. It'd be funny if it ended like, "Please, Heimdall, protect the Earth of my friends," and Heimdall's just like, "Bro, I don't know how to do that. This is the fucking multiverse, dog. We still don't even know how they got here." As an ending, it's fine. I'm glad Thor just wants to protect his besties, but definitely could have been cooler. Thor's ending in beta is identical, except they changed Midgard to Earth, and you don't see the Capcom characters anymore. I'd have to prefer Ultimate again, because I like Capcom characters. They probably changed it to make it more clear what Thor is talking about, but I don't know, I feel like I could get the idea. Trisha's ending sees her killing demons on the new Marvel world, and she comes across Nightcrawler, who she thinks is a demon. Nightcrawler tries to explain that he's just a mutant, but she doesn't believe him, and then the ending just ends. Trish kills demons for a living. She just killed a ton of demons, and here's Nightcrawler literally just vibing? She's probably gonna kill him. I mean, if this is what she thinks demons look like, what are the demons she already killed? Like, they could have been normal people. Bizarre morals aside, it's not a terrible ending. It lacks substance. Like, Nightcrawler's the only thing Marvel about this ending, and I would have liked some more interaction, but it's nice. Trish's beta ending is just better. Trish still thinks Nightcrawler is a demon, but he gets more of a chance to persuade her. He tells Trish that he's the exact same as her, but Trish is a demon, so Nightcrawler gets killed anyway. Which is unironically pretty funny, once you get past the fact that Nightcrawler's basically dead here. I still have no idea why they changed it. I'm starting to think it's more of like a brevity thing, because most of these are the same concept and the same ending virtually, but just fleshed out a lot more with more dialogue. Maybe they wanted to make them shorter, but I can't imagine why they would want to do that. Dang, last two endings were kind of mid. Hopefully we can get a pick-me-up. Damn it. Yeah, Dormammu is evil, so he goes to the Capcom world to do evil shit. Akuma doesn't want him there, and Dormammu responds with the credits rolling. Akuma has one line at the very end about Dormammu not having a place there, and it just ends. Makes you wonder why they felt they needed to include that. But hey, at least the art's cool. In fact, it's so cool that this, along with Ryu, Nova, and Deadpool, have the most replayed feature on YouTube. Nova, I get. That art is pretty awesome. The other three, though, there are plenty of better endings. I think it's just because it either shows, like, a character in a different costume, or it has so many references you have to pause to catch them all. But Deadpool and Dormammu especially feel out of left field. Those were mid-ass endings. Beta ending better, again. Instead of Akuma getting one bizarre line of dialogue, Dormammu instead has extended interactions with Riptor from Darkstalkers. They talk about their plan of destroying the world, and Akuma keeps his fucking mouth shut.
Not a crazy improvement. In fact, Ultimate still has better art because it includes various characters like Dr. Wily.
You know, I've been watching a lot of endings at this point, and I've noticed something. Why does Galactus say, "I must crush you for the bug that you are," right before he dies? Like, aha, I will unleash my secret weapon. This hand slap that doesn't have a hitbox, followed shortly by death. Amaterasu's ending sees the main duo of Isun and Amaterasu walking through a forest, with Isun talking about how much of a bad idea they think something is. They even say, "I don't know how you talked me into this," and then it's revealed that they're fighting the people of Red Earth, I think. Or they're fighting a dinosaur with the people of Red Earth. It's like a team-up thing. Isun does place a lot of emphasis on not wanting to do this. Didn't know Amaterasu was so bloodthirsty. The beta ending for Amaterasu is really weird. Once again, it's the same concept with more dialogue, except not actually. See, in this panel, Amaterasu already left Red Earth Land, and then they're just reflecting on their time there. They make it a flashback to what fighting that dinosaur was like. Pretty bizarre narrative structure, starting to get flashbacks of Cyclops Marvel vs. Street Fighter ending. Holy. It doesn't really improve on the ending all that much. Again, I imagine they changed it for brevity's sake. But even with the structure, I still like this version better. It makes more sense for the characters, more dialogue is always better. Let's move on to X-23. X-23's ending sees her killing Galactus, as I feel all of them do, but this time perfectly landing it outside of Wolverine's lawn. This shot completely fucks with everything we know about Galactus. Not only was this battle in space, but if Galactus eats planets, then how the fuck is he just bigger than a few houses or a courtroom? I mean, I thought he just shrunk down after he died, but nah. I mean, clear as day, this is inconsistent, guys. Fucking embarrassing. Kind of a dick move to spawn this intergalactic titan in someone else's backyard. I love how Wolverine is like, "You get off my lawn," knowing damn well he's gonna have to pay for that. Beta ending once again is just an improvement, but not a drastic one. See, the reason X-23 destroyed millions of dollars in property damage was to prove that she was the best there is, and Wolverine begrudgingly forfeits the title. It's cute. I like that they kind of framed it that way. Beta ending W once again. Okay, up next is Jill, who I completely forgot to do. Like, it just completely slipped my mind. I didn't miss much, though, because all she does is fight vampires with blades. It's cool to see him, even if I don't think it would make much sense that the two of them would interact, and that this would logically happen after Jill beats Galactus. You can also really see the 2 panels per ending quota, because the first panel just has Jill going, "Man." But yeah, it's fine, Smids, whatever. Let's just move on to Spider-Man. Spider-Man actually gets a fairly depressing ending. He saves the world, he gets pictures of it, and J. Jonah Jameson is mad at him because he's the worst. That's how it ends, too. No MJ, no Capcom team-up, he just gets fucked over by capitalism. Beta ending is pretty much identical, but there's slightly more dialogue, and more dialogue is better, so there. Beautiful Joe does give us some team-ups, however this time with Dear God in Heaven. Guess what, fuckface? Spiral's back! She's working for the movie set. Her presence alone is causing my colon to invert. I looked up the blue bitch from Wreck-It Ralph because I genuinely didn't know her name, and I discovered that her name is Yes, with 3 S's. God, that movie fucking sucks. Kraid is here too. They're yelling at Joe to stop messing up a line, but Joe's just really dumb. The beta ending has more dialogue from Spiral. That's troubling. In practice, though, it actually isn't that bad. But it is kind of weird how she says, "If you mess up this next line, I'll just straight up kill you." I guess I'd pick beta here, but it's close. Magneto's ending sees him creating the Avalon for like the 18th time. He's done it like... I'm running out of shit to say about it. Magneto's beta ending, once again, is just better. In fact, I might just prefer the art here. I guess they changed the art because Storm and Phoenix are there, but again, that hasn't stopped them before, so I still don't get it. Moving the fuck on, Tron Bond 1. How fun. Tron Bond's ending sees her fixing Sentinel and showing it off to Mega Man Volnut to make him piss his armor. It's kind of clever, but she made a reference at the end that was lame. I actually don't know what movie this is a reference to, but it's overused in various media that I'm vaguely familiar with, and my body has built a resistance to it. Tron's beta ending, once again, has more dialogue. It does seem to imply that Tron Bond and Mega Man Volnut are enemies, which I didn't know that. I didn't play Mega Man fucking Legends. Makes Sentinel being against Mega Man a much funnier set piece. I tried looking up if they were enemies, and Google told me Tron appears to have a small fear of dogs. Damn, apparently Tron Bond is a villain. I
I couldn't have guessed that. Just shows that my lack of research is starting to catch up with me. Ghost Rider's ending sees them becoming besties with Dante and Trish, and they make Mephisto tear up the contracts they made. I don't know why they have contracts. It probably has to do with DMC lore, or hell, maybe Ghost Rider lore, since I don't know either, and I truly do not care. But either way, it's a fun little expected team-up that has a decent idea. Moving on. Oh god, maybe these are mid. Anyways, Wesker. Since everyone was paying attention to the galactic threat afoot, nobody noticed what Wesker was doing. That being capturing the Marvel superheroes and turning them into Marvel zombies. Except none of that makes any sense. How did no one notice that you were doing that? The only way to unlock this ending is for you, Wesker, to give the final blow to Galactus. The only thing you were busy with when Galactus attacked was Galactus, and even if you weren't fucking with Galactus and you managed to get by unscathed, you were still capturing the Avengers, the heroes who just saved the universe if you already didn't. Despite the leap in logic, Wesker being tied to the Marvel Zombie storyline is actually kind of a cool idea. Only difference in the beta's version is that Wesker wonders if these Marvel Zombies will become the next Alexia or Lisa Trevor. This implies that Wesker's either gonna turn them into Ketchizu or a lesbian. I don't know if there's much of a point picking which one I like better, but I'll go with the ultimate version. Sure, why not? MODOK's ending sees him stealing Galactus' helmet, which is kinda neat, I guess. The AIM guys make a fuss about the helmet not really looking good on him, but like, it's MODOK. What does look good on him? Aside from that makeup, he is eating and leaving no crumbs. In fact, he looks like Ivankov from One Piece. No Capcom integration, which is lame, but hey, it's fine. Whatever. Makes more sense continuity-wise than Wesker. Beta version is pretty much exactly the same with some dialogue rearrangements. If I had to pick, Beta's slightly better. Next is Virgil, and I really thought he'd be more interesting. He takes the Munasama blade, which apparently negates Wolverine's healing factor, and uses it to get more power. Which is like so boring. In fact, if you think about it, it could actually be considered a world dom ending. That's lame. I'm sorry, but that's lame. Based on his design and his voice, I really thought Virgil was a more compelling character. I thought he was going to be the more compelling character compared to his more energetic counterpart like Shadow, Ghetto, Edgeworth, but nah, he just wants to kill people and gain power. That's fucking lame.
He took his arm because he needed more power and an apple. Give me a break.
She-Hulk's is pretty funny though. She creates the show Judge Jennifer with Phoenix and Edgeworth, and she slams the gavel so hard she breaks the table, and we get this shot. Rightworth shippers feasting with this image. It is cute, I won't lie. Honestly, really fun ending. Glad that Marvel and Capcom see the pair of She-Hulk and Phoenix right so fitting they put it in both of their endings. Beta ending is pretty much the same, but for some reason they changed the name of the show to Jen's Justice, which is worse, so I'm gonna give Ultimate the leg up here. Wesker's ending saw a reference to the Marvel Zombies comics, and Frank West does the same thing. This time, Mr. Fantastic is essentially giving the plot synopsis of Marvel Zombies to Frank West, and he's all like, damn, that sucks for them. Mr. Fantastic explains that once they devour their world, they're gonna go to the Marvel vs. Capcom universe, which is no. How the fuck do the damn zombies know how to multiverse travel? That doesn't make any sense. And even if they do, why would they specifically go to the MVC world and not, I don't know, any other fucking world? Regardless, kind of shocking we've gotten so many references to Marvel Zombies. It'd be really neat if we got like a Marvel Zombies game that's like an FPS. There'd be a bunch of superhero zombie bosses. That'd be rad as hell. Pretty neat crossover. Shame Frank West can't just vibe as a photographer. He has to stop fucking super zombies, but sucks for him, I guess. Storm's ending isn't nearly as fun, though. She goes to Wakanda to see if everything she does as an X-Man is worth it. Spoilers, it is. Black Panther's there. He doesn't get any lines of dialogue. He just stands there, honestly waiting for her to leave. Pretty mid-ending. Storm had like 2 dialogue boxes. Storm's beta ending features the same art, but this time triples down on the fact that Storm and Black Panther are lovers. Like, they married as shit. I have mixed feelings about them as a couple, and this ending in particular doesn't do anything for me. Black Panther says, "You have fought to save those who love you. I being chiefly one of those." Okay, T'Challa. In fact, this, including all of Storm's other endings, make it so each time she has an ending, she's just getting together with boys. So, you know what? I'm gonna call an ultimate victory here. Like, don't get me wrong, that dress is actually kind of awesome, but yeah, ultimate wins. Arthur's ending is a little more fun. He fights Fin Fang Foom, Marvel's biggest beast. Well, I mean, besides these guys. He captured the princess, something I didn't notice until the second time around, actually. The dialogue here is pretty clunky, all things considered. He feels the need to explain why he's still in the Marvel Universe, as if that's not obvious by him fighting a Marvel dragon. But he starts that dialogue with "truth be told." Oh, good. Thought for a second there you were gonna lie. The ending ends with Arthur giving him a little poke, and Fin Fang Foom going, "Is this a joke?" Which, I didn't know he could talk. The beta version is kinda just objectively better. Arthur gives a typically Arthur speech about slaying the dragon, but instead of poking him once, he just keeps going with the princess trying to gas him up. Like, that's just funny. It'd be one thing if the princess was just like, wow, I'm totally fucked, but it's way funnier that she fully thinks she's gonna survive this situation. Another beta victory here. Up next is Phoenix, which is honestly a little bit boring. Galactus is dead, and everyone is like, good job, Jean Grey, you killed Galactus, and she's like, yeah, nah, I'ma kill you. It's implied that she tries to kill the X-Men, and considering how powerful she is and that she just killed Galactus, she probably did. In fact, here, I'll take this time to apologize to Chun-Li for saying that she couldn't capture all those heroes before, but I'm pretty sure it's kind of an unspoken rule that once you beat Galactus / the main boss of the game, you can literally do anything. Galactus serves his purpose in this game as he does in the comics. He's just a power scaler for all the other characters. Beta version just has more dialogue, which means it's better. Really doesn't get much more complicated than that. Spencer's ending has some very bizarre implications. He asks She-Hulk out on a date, which... I'm not as mad they gave her a boyfriend this time, because this game already has plenty of characters without one. In fact, honestly, this is a breath of fresh air. He takes her not to an actual date place, but where he normally goes to take down BioRain's cronies, a corporation I don't know anything about, but it's probably evil. It's called BioRain. She-Hulk's all like, is this actually what you think a date should be like? And Spencer's like, okay, fine, whatever, we'll go to dinner. You happy? Holy shit! I made the Treyarch logo with a hair tie. This is amazing. Holy shit, it looks exactly like the Treyarch. Where's my phone? Where's my phone, damn it? Focus, you bitch! Alright, I took like 50 of them. That was a frustrating experience. I did not like it. She-Hulk notably says, I'll get my hands dirty for you. A line that was completely expected and didn't catch me off guard. You need to have a very specific personality to pull that line off, and I feel like getting one's hands dirty for someone is like a pretty far step in the relationship. Oh my god, I'm such a gay mess. Of all the people to take the romance angle, She-Hulk and Spencer definitely feels like an out there choice. Actually, wait, isn't one of the most significant parts about the Bionic Commando remake the fact that Spencer's arm is his wife? I swear to Christ that was a thing. But I don't know, I'm still grateful how much better it was than some of the other endings. Beta ending, dialogue is better, and there's more of it for She-Hulk and Spencer. They even put her name in question marks to add suspense. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Spencer. How many we got left? 12? Okay. Iron Fist ending sees him starting a brand new Heroes for Hire, and man, it was genuinely hard to motivate myself to continue the script, partially due to the fact that this ending has been done before twice. I mean, I get it. It makes sense. I don't know the character that well, so it's hard to critique off of character merits, but man, I feel like we're on the precipice of discovering a brand new ending archetype like the world domination or character goes back to family type endings. It is fine. It is whatever. Moving on. Zero's ending is actually unique and interesting, though. After beating Galactus, Zero needs a ride home from none other than Silver Surfer. Where the hell were you during all this shit? He takes him home to Neo Arcadia, except not actually. See, he takes him to the world of Mega Man Zero, not Mega Man X. Silver Surfer says completely bluntly, yeah, I cannot tell the difference between any of these fucking places, which is genuinely really funny. I also think it's just a unique and interesting way to take this ending. It honestly doesn't fit into any of the categories we've set. Beta ending is genuinely identical. I seriously found zero differences. So we're gonna make this an ultimate victory here, since they finally didn't change it unnecessarily, and that prospect alone is worth celebrating. The thread of uniqueness continues to be woven with Taskmaster, of all characters, who runs a fitness product line. What the fuck? It's a whole commercial where he promises training for people who want to learn from the person who killed Galactus. There's a fake phone number, random Marvel vs. Capcom women are there, including ones that really shouldn't be, like Sea Viper and Trish. I mean, it's funny that they're there, but I'm definitely glad they don't elaborate on why. I feel like most explanations for all of the women specifically posing for Taskmaster has the chance to be incredibly misogynistic, and I want to hold on to any goodwill from Capcom that I can, because God knows I won't keep it. Editing Stephanie here. I think a better non-misogynistic explanation is that these girls were canonically on his team, and they just want to help their bestest buddy pursue business opportunities because they love each other. Now, is it in character for all of them, or even some of them? Okay, no, but, like, who gives a fuck? We didn't see him with all of his money, and he's, I guess, reminiscing on his marketing ploy where he had fitness DVDs, a clothing line, fucking health supplements. You're taking health supplements from a skeleton? Alright, you know what? I'm coming out, actually. I'm a Taskmaster hater. His dialogue here is really irritating, and generally he's somehow obnoxious and generic at the same time. He's not quite the eye tumor as Juggernaut, but he's just a dude with a sword in this game. He has some moves that steal from other characters, but that gimmick goes nowhere. It's like Rogue, but 80 times worse. Beta ending, literally the same situation as Zero, no changes whatsoever, so I'll make it an ultimate victory. I'm still mad about Taskmaster. I haven't stopped. Okay, that was a mini tangent. Let's move on to Sea Viper, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I just have a feeling that this shit's gonna be boring. I know you don't have any manners. Don't break into a ladies' room. Damn, what a funny quip, Sea Viper. You know you can cancel moves by using meter? I think you should do that to your jokes. Anyway, Nick Fury shows up and asks her to join S.H.I.E.L.D., which feels like something I could have predicted, and that's where it stops. Overall, pretty mid-ending. Like, I get it. What are you gonna do with Crimson Viper? But like, I don't know, am I done yet? Beta ending just has more dialogue. I know it may not seem like a lot, but adding just one box with a question mark does sufficiently add suspense, even just for a little while. Still don't know why Nick Fury said this, though. That's in both endings, and my mind can't figure out a way for that to be reasonably delivered.
Doctor Strange! Doctor Strange!
Thank you. Doctor Strange starts the Illuminati, and you'd think he'd get a lot more Capcom characters on the board, and that might have been what happened. Looking at this collective, I do not recognize a single one, Marvel or Capcom. Actually, no, that's Scarlet Witch, and that might be the guy from Marvel 2, but other than that, I'm clueless. I thought this was Ruby Hart, but yeah, no, they don't look the same at all, actually. Thankfully, the comments swoop in to save the day. Turns out we got Dr. Druid, Brother Voodoo, Wiccan, and Jennifer Kale. What? Doctor Strange continuing to add to the list of characters who start a band. This shit's boring. 4 out of 10. Hagar's ending is actually really cute. Chris Redfield and Captain America are hanging out with Hagar for no other reason than to just check up on him. These guys are sweethearts. I'm only playing as them from now on. Anyway, Hagar's been elected president, which felt like it was inevitable. Chris says, you might be brawny, but you have a heart of gold. And I know that sounds like a backhanded insult, but something about this ending is just so adorable. Funny enough, the only thing different about the beta and ultimate endings is that ultimate has a semicolon, and like, yeah, sure, fuck it. Really glad Hagar gets like the most wholesome ending in the game. And then there's Sentinels. Yeah, Sentinel just kills everyone. Surprisingly, the robot that was made to kill mutants now doesn't discriminate. He's gonna kill everyone. He also uses Galactus as a means to travel between worlds because, yeah, even I forgot that this is the universe where a random-ass Sentinel defeats Galactus. Kinda weird from, like, a power scaling perspective. Whoever beats Galactus is more powerful than everyone who didn't, which means they can do whatever they want. They could run for president, start their own program, or just kill everyone. Case in point. Oh, hey, look, it's Star. Oh my god, look out! Sentinel sees an improvement across the board in his beta ending. First off, I want to mention that is Dan. He was there in Ultimate 2. I just didn't notice. I mean, he sure looks like he's in a pickle here. And I know exactly how to save him. But the dialogue improvements are sizable here. It actually has a number of dead characters from each series instead of literally just explaining how traversing through different worlds can help aid in Sentinel's cause of killing everything. Spoilers, it can, and it does, obviously. So, yeah, pretty clear improvement. Nemesis's ending just makes my stomach hurt. They fuse Weapon X, which I thought was one of Wolverine's supers, but I guess not here. Anyway, they fuse it with, Nemesis, I guess. Now he's an Ultra Nemesis. Well, dude, anyway. Alright, Rocket Raccoon about to pick up the slack here, alright? Rocket Raccoon is in need of a vacation, so he goes to Raccoon City. Cause, get it? It's got raccoon in the name. It was made for Rocket. A little R&R for old RR. That's adorable. He goes expecting a paradise. It's not. This ending is fire as shit. Just a perfect combo. Alright, 3 left. We're on the home stretch. Aside from, like, half the video. Akuma's ending sees him killing all the Street Fighters. That's it. I thought that orb was something he collected to make himself more powerful. Nah, it's just the moon. Once again, it's going with the idea that Akuma is the most powerful character in the verse purely because he beat Galactus, which is so funny because if y'all played Galactus, this fucker is weak as shit. Pretty piss poor ending, all things considered. Once again, dropping any conflict he had with Wolverine. But, you know, it's whatever. Yeah, I think I just stopped writing transitions at a certain point. Yeah, once again, just objectively better here in beta. Akuma, rather than just saying, wow, I'm really strong now, he actually goes into detail about his new set of morals. Instead of waiting for people to challenge him, with him being a fruit vendor in the meantime, he's gonna go to challengers himself and kill them himself. Doesn't even matter if they're worthy, he'll just fucking rip your head off. Girl, why are you shoveling snow, man? You realize that it's gonna be snowing for the next 4 hours. We're gonna get like 8 to 15 inches, man. What are you doing? You're wasting your time. Next we got Shumagaroth, who starts a game show. Super Monster Awesome Hour. I mean, I think it's a game show, but that's clearly a name for a talk show, so I don't know what the game would be. Talking. But hey, it's cute. I like the art. It's at the very least more creative than Marvel superheroes. Lastly, we have Hishenko. I think it might be pronounced Hisenko, but I'm not fucking re-recording those lines. What are you, crazy? I am a woman with upstanding morals, and I am not just going to re-record lines just because it's pronounced wrong. Are you serious? Anyway, lastly is Hisenko. She goes to the Majagan realm with her sister Mei Ling. Oh god. And guess who's also here? It's Thor. They fight the evil creatures in the Majagan realm while Hisenko and Mei Ling fight over who's going to romance Thor. Thankfully for our final ending, we have a completely new ending for the beta version. And what's even cooler is that this ending is probably my favorite in the whole game. See, we see Hisenko being captured by Doctor Strange. Why would he do that? Is he evil now? How may I help? Wait, so you're not evil? Then what the fuck is this? But with this hiccup aside, the ending improves immensely. What we'll immediately notice is the art direction here is shockingly good. It has its oil painting style to it and the expressions just pop. See, Hisenko and her sister Mei Ling explain that their mother is trapped in the Majagan realm and Doctor Strange has to help her to get them out. Doctor Strange accepts, and with the spells Abracadabra Mumbo Jumbo, Hisenko is turned back into a human and helps her mother reach eternal peace. It's then revealed that Hisenko made that story up and Mei Ling is like, yeah, you can't write a comic book for shit. Which is, Mei Ling, that's very rude. I guess it's a good thing you're dead. Jesus Christ. And then it's revealed that the reason for the oil painting aesthetic is because Hisenko drew it herself? That is genuinely adorable. In fact, this entire ending is completely adorable. They did not have to go this hard with the art, but it's like leagues better than anything else from the game. Not to say this game is bad art, far from it, but it actually has a living, breathing style to it. And the rapport between Hisenko and her sister is genuinely adorable. I know I've said adorable like 3 times, but it's true! Every time! How Doctor Strange gives hints of it all being fake by saying weird shit like mumbo jumbo is just so fucking charming. A lot of the endings that were good up until this point were good mostly because they were batshit. Morgan plays Puzzle Fighter, Dan becomes Cyber Dan, Sentinel beats up Storm. That's so funny and kooky. This one though, just gives me a warm feeling in my heart. Maybe it's because one of my favorite character archetypes is the young, bubbly, bright, and a little naive student in training. But man, especially after the sheer amount of ups and downs we've come across throughout this entire ending's journey, I guess, it just makes me feel nice that I don't have to criticize this ending. I can just enjoy it and breathe. In fact, I feel so good after that ending, I'm not even gonna get mad about how that ending got replaced in Ultimate. Yeah, bet you forgot about that. Yes, it is one of the best endings that no one saw after the much more popular release of the game came out. But to be fair, no one wants to play as Hisenko anyway. It also shoots my ultimate character idea out the window since it replaces an ending about Doctor Strange and replaces it with Thor, who was in the base games. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, suffice to say, beta wins, no contest. Oh my god, we finally did it. Marvel 3 overall was actually surprisingly good. They kept the campiness of the early endings, but updated it with some really sick art. Some of these endings are all-time classics, and I'd say they're the best overall package in the series, even over Marvel 1. Yeah, you got your standard world dumb endings and all that, but there's still a lot of creativity here. Marvel 3 does have the best endings, but the best of the best isn't ironically funny. The game came out in 2011. It's not like there's gonna be something that just ages terribly. But like, yeah, considering there's 50 and they're all on a pretty reasonable standard of quality, that's impressive. This game is just really good, you guys. But I'd be remiss not to mention that the whole replacing perfectly good beta endings with vastly inferior ultimate endings was definitely a recurring problem. I mean, taking a look at the tallies, and yeah, that is a sizable beta victory. Some of the changes are so minor it's anyone's guess why you would even make those changes, but it's especially egregious when they take a perfectly good ending and replace it with something subpar. It feels like they're getting neutered for the sake of time, but I don't see what the point in that is. Time isn't a concern. You just beat the game and all you have to do is press A a bunch and sit through the credits right after. Okay, I gotta mention something I just noticed as I was editing. In the credits, the lead production manager for Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is Daisuke Ishiwata. Not at all to be confused with Daisuke Ishiwatari, the creator of Guilty Gear. No, these are different people. I checked. What the fuck? But other than that, yeah, Marvel 3 was actually pretty good. There isn't that classic rage-inducing moment like Chun-Li or Sakura or Chun-Li again. Like, I think the most mad I got was like Wesker, but like, are you kidding me? And it isn't some ironic masterpiece like some of the earlier games, it's just sweet. So many moments are just nice to see. Considering this game came out in 2011, this is one of the best scenarios we could have asked for. Just switch the endings from Ultimate to Beta, please. Now, thankfully, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite doesn't have arcade endings, so we're pretty much done here. Alright, listen, if we're gonna cover the endings of Marvel vs. Capcom, we're gonna cover the endings of Marvel vs. Capcom. So, since this video is essentially a part 2 made out of cowardice, I figured I'd add a bit more meat to this video. I mean, as I'm writing this, I don't know how long it's gonna be. I don't even know how long it's gonna be after I record it, so maybe it has enough meat already, but fuck you. I wanted to figure out who drew the art, but I checked the credits and I really couldn't find who did it. Also because a couple of these are sprite animations, it would just be the sprite artists who are no doubt talented. But that doesn't mean we can't march forward, so let's talk about the art a little bit. Do keep in mind that I am no artist and that, just like the rest of this video, I'm just pointing out shit I find funny. We could talk about Children of the Atom, but there wouldn't be too much of a point. There are some sprites that stand out for sure. We have these fellas, Mr. Brick, Night Watcher 29XX, and the clones. I like this one, but the rest look like cut Incredibles 2 designs, which, like, why did all of those guys look aggressively shit? Professor X's sprite looks okay. I mostly just like him in the back of Cyclops' stage where he spins around a bunch. He's stimming, leave him alone. I also think I came to an epiphany about Iceman's ending. Not the repetition of the text, that shit is still weird. But I think the reason that they say the statues look bad is because he gets one innocuous little detail wrong. See, with this woman, he gets the straps wrong. Same with her. Now that being said, I couldn't find anything wrong with this sprite, and I did notice a colorization change in this sprite, except this is the sprite that they all enjoy. So it'll continue to be a mystery, I guess. Fuck me. I also like this bike sprite, but I enjoy it 10 times more when he's on it. There's that super massive sentinel in the background of the stage that actually moves in his ending, which is awesome. Then there's Psylocke's dress, which might be the best sprite in the whole game. I don't think this has an origin, they just went unnecessarily hard on this outfit. That's all there really is to discuss with X-Men Children of the Atom, but I do want to focus more on the progression of slide art from Marvel superheroes to Marvel vs. Street Fighter. And you know what? Let's jumble up the order for funsies. This art of Wolverine seems normal, but if you notice, his fists are in a different direction. Yet another reason why this game sucks, and we should ban the government. Hulk and his soon-to-be late wife jumped out of a caked-up plane, I guess. What the fuck is this? I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Hulk's strangely small head in this shot. Like, seriously, it's as big as his belt buckle. How is that even possible? This last panel of Psylocke's ending is especially interesting. Colossus and Cyclops seem to be trying to just straight up kill Wolverine. I don't know what that's about. Same could be said for Iceman's suspiciously pronounced jawline. Love the design for Iron Man's lab as well. You can tell it's a lab since it has unlabeled sciencey liquids everywhere. If you need these tubes for science experiments, why are they different sizes and why are they everywhere? I do like this first shot of Dr. Doom's ending, how the lighting makes it look like he doesn't have a face and Thanos looks sufficiently shitted. Then we see Doom's face and we realize why he was cast in shadow, because like, yikes. There's a chance this is just how he was drawn in the comics at the time, but why do his face muscles bulge out like that? Juggernaut, this time more than usual, just makes me want to yak up my insides. I make fun of Hulk's head being small, but by design, Juggernaut's helmet makes him look like a belly button with legs. Adam Warlock looks fine, but I'm still trying to figure out which one of these back muscles is actually his head in disguise. And then there's this shot. They had to make his arms as physically and grotesquely square as artistically possible. This guy is truly an idiot thinking he can even get his meat stubs to fit through the gauntlet. I still can't get over this arm. It looks like Jin's robot. What is happening? Okay, I was dreading this. Blackheart, let's get this shit over with. It's pretty funny in retrospect that this hellish Volucran demon is represented in Marvel vs. Street Fighter by a red version of Blackheart. Now that my eyes have adjusted, I can see all the little details, like how there's a little guy at the bottom there. I still don't know why Blackheart doesn't have a head, but it's okay though, because he grows one in this shot. See, there's his head. As for whether that's his arms or legs, the jury's still out on that one. It looks like he's in a little yellow cup, like when you'd see at a frat party or something, except those are red. Still don't know why, if that is Mephisto's head, why it's completely different. I don't know whether or not these are hands, because I think those are fingernails, but I don't fucking know. Then we have the Retribution shot, and what I like about this is not only is this the only on-model shot in this entire ending, it's also got little guys at the bottom that look like the classic fucking LucasArts logo. Shimmergroth is pretty normal, so we can move on to Spider-Man. Things start off pretty interestingly here. I think MJ is watching herself on the TV, but she's turned around. It's like she's watching security footage of right behind her. Also, what's the purpose of having Spider-Man's shadow start twitching? Is there some kind of technique in play to convey some idea of Spider-Man's very nature? Regardless, I like Spider-Man's hair. He looks like an influencer. I also like MJ's hair especially. It has these little curls that look fantastic. Night and day with Marvel vs. Street Fighter. I also really like the background here. It looks like they have a picture of nothing. With a warm embrace, we can move on to Captain America. I have a question first though. Is this Thor's outfit? I didn't think much of it before, but I think that part there might be bare skin, which makes this black part and the cape the only top he has on, which is really weird. Thor also has a beard, which is cool. He also has these silly little goggles around his eyes. Also, wait, if they're in space, why are they just randomly flying around? They have a ship. We just fucking saw it. Well, and things here with Thanos. He gets this shot, which goes hard as hell, but I'm fairly certain it's like based on a comic panel, probably the one that everyone knows. So I won't give it too much credit for going hard. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that does it for Marvel superheroes. Moving on to X-Men vs. Street Fighter. If you didn't notice it before, because I'm gonna point it out again, we're looking at a downgrade art-wise. I know this isn't crazy relevant, but I really like Phoenix's old design. I like this tealish blue. I think it works a lot better than green. I say that because I'm covering Chun-Li, and there actually isn't that much to say, which is a first. And yeah, taking a closer look at this image, I remember why I was so upset. The way that Beast kind of fiddles with his glasses, like he's making sure that she's a woman. Iceman is inches away from touching something he really shouldn't be. Archangel using his wings to cover brand new angles, establishing a unique form of claustrophobia. I think what ultimately sells it, though, is Chun-Li's face. It so matches the vibe of I want to be friendly to these people, but I am viciously uncomfortable. In a game full of cartoony reconciliations, it is a very real and genuine face. And then there's Cyclops in the back being a bystander. You know, Scott, that isn't enough. Be an ally, for God's sake. Also, wait, wasn't he in front of her like 2 seconds ago? I think it's important to mention, this is unscripted. I think what's important to mention is that technically this ending is a reference to the very beginning of the X-Men comic line, where the original team was Cyclops, why he's in the back there, Iceman, Beast, Archangel, and Jean Grey. And when Jean Grey was added to the team, because it was the 1970s or whatever, they were just like, what the hell? Is that a woman? No way, man! And then she makes this exact face and she's like, haha, wow. It sucks. It's called the X-Men, not X-Women! It doesn't excuse it. This is the mid to late 90s. There is no fucking excuse. It's not worth the reference. And that's kind of how I feel about Strider and Captain Commando. Well, not Captain Commando, because that's funny. That's kind of how I feel about Strider, because, like, yeah, it's a reference to his games, but it's just fucking boring. Like, you could have had the same thing for Morrigan, but you didn't, and that's what made it cool. Damn, remember when I said I didn't have much to say about this ending? While we're on a PTSD trip, anyone else think this couch looks a little weird? Because it's like, yeah, it fits 2 people pretty well, but it also kind of looks like a chair. What am I doing? I also really like Ken's eyebrows. Like, they are unrelentingly pronounced. I feel like Gambit is probably the closest to having an identity with his visuals. The sky is notably prettier than Rogue's ending, and I like how the leaves flow out when they hug. I didn't ask this before, and God knows why that is. I'm really curious, but are they on a cloud? It looks nothing like where you fight Apocalypse. The ground is stable enough to hold 3 corpses, 3 alive people, and like 14 bullets. Yeah, I guess this kind of confirms it. The Street Fighters didn't just get beaten up. They were shot. It was on site. Moving on. Check out this house. It has an itty-bitty roof for an itty-bitty window, and it has an even itty-bittier fence. Like, be honest with me for a second. What the hell are you keeping up with this fence? One thing I noticed but didn't mention is that in Storm's ending, you can see Sakura, Gambit, and Dan in the background. Then when Shumagorath shows up again, you can see them in a collective panic, with Dan trying to take it down. That's kinda cute. That's it for X-Men vs. Street Fighter. We can mosey on down to Marvel vs. Street Fighter, which is good, because we have to talk about something extremely important. I noticed that the bears in Zangief's ending has X-shaped scars and little tufts of hair, just like Zangief. In fact, you have to wonder if the two are related. Okay, Zangief, at one point or another, I thought you were in love with Vega, a trans woman, and now you're fucking bears. I can't read you anymore. Before we move on to the art of some of the other endings, there are a few things that the comment section pointed out to me that I wanted to mention. Apparently, Shadow Charlie, Mech Zangief, and Dark Sakura have unique endings in the Japanese version that I didn't know about because there is no YouTube footage of it anywhere. In fact, the only place I could find it was this website by RageQuitter87. It's, I guess, an encyclopedia on various things Marvel in this bizarre indie website format. Honestly, kind of neat. So we don't have videos this time, we just have a series of GIFs with translations. First is Dark Sakura, which starts out with both Akuma and Sakura doing a Raging Demon, which is just, I think this is the coolest thing ever. Seeing Sakura using the Raging Demon is probably the funniest thing in the world. The fact that you can just use it in Street Fighter EX is enough to make that game the greatest of all time, actually. Then we're introduced to Kay, who I've never heard of before. And that's for good reason. She's Sakura's best friend, but she doesn't have any fighting prowess, so she doesn't really do anything in a game franchise about beating the shit out of people. Regardless, she shows up, trips, falls over, dies, I guess, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's pretty mid, but compared to the US version, I think I should be grateful. Next is Shadow Charlie, which is basically M. Bison's ending, but with more dialogue. What is this, Marvel 3? Charlie says his battery has been turned off, meaning he can't move. So his entire motor function is powered by a single battery? It could be like one of those special nuclear batteries, but it can run out and needs to be replaced, so I doubt it. Of course, I don't know anything about batteries. What, you gonna make me research batteries? And Bison catches up to him and modifies him so he won't be so rebellious. Yeah, this is something I didn't mention before because I didn't know it was a thing, but the Shadow versions are actually robots. Sorry that wasn't clear to me. I mean, they're literally just the same character except cast in everlasting darkness. I mean, I guess the rockets were a bit weird. Yeah, anyway, we get this shot, which is literally identical to M. Bison's, confirming this modified Charlie to be Shadow Charlie. The ending itself is probably better than M. Bison's. I mean, that one was just boring. So I guess I'll give it points for that, but I'm far from impressed. Finally, we have Mech Zangief, which might be the most boring. See, this is Mech Zangief. He's the only mech, but he's not the only robot. Shadow Charlie is also a robot, which could be considered a mech, but that doesn't mean Mech Zangief is Shadow Zangief. Nor does it mean Dark Sakura is Shadow Sakura, especially since Dark Sakura isn't a robot. Mechs can be considered robots, and shadows are robots, but mechs are not shadows, even though shadows are mechs. Probably. And darkness should just be completely disregarded altogether, since despite sounding like Shadow, which are robots and might be mechs, darkness is just a really tan human. Shadow Charlie was created by M. Bison, which might make you believe that M. Bison created Mech Zangief, which is certainly possible, but it isn't aided by the fact that this appears to be a form that Zangief can switch on and off of, something that both the Shadow characters and Dark Sakura can most definitely not do. Don't be ridiculous. Not to mention, Dark Sakura was not created by M. Bison in the slightest. In fact, she finds her most similarities from Akuma rather than Bison. The Shadow characters were also a result of rigorous experimentation, something mechs don't appear to have gone through, and as previously stated, Dark Sakura, since she isn't a robot, went through no such rigorous experimentation. I hope you got all that, because I didn't, and I need to cheat off you for the test. Anyways, Mech Zangief just wants to return to the motherland and not look like a mech shadow dark robot in the process. With that all out of the way, let's move on to Akuma's ending, which features Cyber Akuma. Oh, god damn it! Cyber Akuma, much like Dark Sakura, seems to be a brand of robot related to Akuma, but as we all know, it's not exclusive to Akuma, hence the existence of Cyber Dan. Unlike the Shadow's intense and rigorous experimentation, something that may or may not even apply to Shadow Lady, since, unlike regular Charlie Nash, Chun-Li is alive and well, the Cybers instead use the process of cybernation, whatever the fuck that is, to create themselves. Any living being can come into contact with the cybernation and become Cyber. Considering that Dan became Cyber, I'd imagine the process is vastly easier than Shadow Nation, begging the question, why bother? Moving along, Cyber Akuma has zero affiliation with M. Bison, much like Dark Sakura, and seems generally opposed to M. Bison and his schemes. Each brand of alt form gives us an equally unique brand of robot. Cyber is more of a cyborg than a human, meaning they have human and robot parts. Shadows are just fully robots thought to have been created from humans. Mechs are robotic forms that humans can transform into for various purposes, and Dark Sakura isn't a robot at all. Not to mention characters like Iron Man, which includes robotics within a suit of armor that's worn by humans. Another interesting thing of note is that the Cybernation can be easily removed with just a swift punch, assuming the cybered one is reasonably incompetent. Sorry about all the information, but it literally wasn't at all necessary. I just wanted to make you feel. Regardless, something I didn't notice during Akuma's ending is that Akuma is in the background, but Cyber Akuma is right there. Cyber Akuma and Akuma are different people entirely. This changes everything. If Wolverine thought Akuma knew anything about his past, which was always a coin toss, why would the fucked up cyber version Akuma, who's probably been around for significantly less time, know anything about it? Someone in the comments pointed out that Akuma is 200 years old, so if anyone was going to know about Wolverine's past, it'd be him, which is silly. That implies that once you get to an extremely old age, like 200 years, that you just kind of know everything that happened in those years. Jesus Christ, it's May. We have to speed this up. Spider-Man's art is where I started to notice that the art quality was waning just slightly. I already brought this up with Marvel superheroes, but these are the same poses, just not nearly as strong. Thankfully, they've upgraded from Portrait of Nothing to Portrait of Tan Bird. Also, does she live in a castle? What kind of house is made out of bricks? Didn't know we were in the Three Little Pigs. Then it changes to fucking Lincoln Logs with the shadows as dark as the night sky. Also, that curtain was not there before. This feels like AI somehow. Not to mention, I think MJ turned into Rogue because Peter looks like he was sucked by a Dementor. Wouldn't happen with Morgan, just saying. Even though it totally would. As I was talking about their potential baby, somebody pointed out, who's gonna tell, bro? Tell me what— Oh, that's sad. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. While we're talking about the art, I could bring up Norimaru's ending again, but I used my last two Zofran last time, I'll pass. Captain America's ending also shows the art being occasionally off, like this handshake. I'm pretty sure Cap wears gloves too, so maybe Ryu's just giving himself a hand massage. One important thing I missed that plenty of people have pointed out to me is that Dan's ending is a reference to Ryo's ending in Art of Fighting, wherein it's revealed that Mr. Karate, that's a name, was actually Ryo's father, according to Ryo's sister. Since Dan is a reference to Ryo Sakazaki and Robert Garcia, this ending being a reference to them is clever, alright? You fucking got me. Really wish nobody would blame me for not getting that, though. Circling back, I like the direction this ending went in, and considering this was intended for an arcade landscape, I can't really blame it for making references like this. Not changing my tier list, though, because I already made it. You can't make me change it. Moving on to Chun-Li's ending, look at Hulk's face. It just looks funny. Moving on to Rio's ending, I probably wouldn't have brought up the art hiccups present in other endings if it weren't for this one. Because look at this. Why is it so much better than everything else? Compare that shit to Captain America or Cyclops and it is night and day. Literally, since it's a different design too. But, I mean, Cyclops here looks like a little bit whatever, but these shots go hard as hell. How did that even happen? Marvel 1 I'm not covering again. I do think it's worth mentioning that Spider-Man and Venom's endings change depending on your second character, so it's not just a Ryu jerk fest. Okay, there's no art in Marvel 1, and since I knew this was going to be a topic, I already included everything I wanted to say in Marvel 3, so that means we're done. Holy shit! So yeah. Those are the endings of Marvel vs. Capcom. Overall, an extremely funny topic to cover. I know I got pretty tired of it by the end, but yeah, I definitely don't regret making it. It was a blast from start to finish. Hopefully you felt that. I haven't seen a video of mine doing this amount of numbers since ever, so thanks for that. Like, for real, I don't know if it's just YouTube's algorithm being a lot kinder to me, but 45,000 is like a lot of views, so thanks so much for watching. It was a really unique and fun experience that I'm looking forward to doing more in the future. Hopefully once I won't have to split into multiple parts over the span of 6 to 8 months. More like a year. I didn't even get into the fact that, like, the first Marvel video took, obviously, yeah, a long time, but there was also, like, a lot of technical difficulties I did talk about. Like, a lot of shit with, like, deleting stuff I shouldn't have, a lot of audio mishaps. It was kind of a mess, and it kind of stressed me out, but it was worth it. I have plenty of other, like, video ideas in the works. I'm probably not gonna get right to working on another endings video for a while. Not until I get at least 1 or 2 other big videos out. Cause I have stuff planned. I like to do stuff. And I guess I should mention, yeah, this took a long time. I mean, yeah, we're looking at like a 9-month, 8-month, 10-month even, I don't know by the time of recording, but long gap between the first one. And that's because I kind of stopped working on it for months. 1, for personal reasons. 2, I was a little preoccupied with something else, of which I can't even upload to YouTube, so there's no point. Anyway, yeah, that's how it is. I mean, I don't know what'll happen. I don't know if I'll continue to feel motivated for the next couple of videos, or if I'll have another break. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen, but thank you for the views. Anybody who stayed to the end and watched not just one, but both of these videos, mwah. That was me giving you a kiss on the cheek. I think that is about it. So, here are my tier lists. Final ranking is Marvel 3, Marvel 1, Children of the Atom, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter. Okay, that's it. I'm done. It's over. Holy fucking shit. Oh wait, shit. I was gonna make a joke here, wasn't I? Fuck!